Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening on this special, what should I say, Jubilee weekend. You know, thank God for the Queen. Now I can able to do some work in the yard or something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day, 2nd of June, 2022. Yes, we're in June, and 6 months in January, February, March, April, May, June. As the song in Jamaica normally say January, February, March, April, May, June, July. I don't know if Gary, these guys know these songs when they were growing up in Jamaica. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for in with me. I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. And yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about in the 1 hour that we have. Talk about the Queen and Burgess Park, and just few little developments. As I said, let me just keep the flow. No matter what, you know, Buckingham Palace or wherever, let's have a Jubilee weekend. Gary, welcome. I'll put you on the spot, man.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So Cydia. So it's a privilege that I can connect with you on the Seymour or the Sylbourne
Sylbourne,
Cydia show.
that's awesome. I tell you, the way you dress, you look like one of those red arrows. The
Well,
pilot,
who
you're a
knows?
pilot, arrow pilot.
I could be one of the secret ones, and you just don't know.
That's how they dress, the red arrow pilots that flies for the queen and everything like that, on her.
Well, I had to jump out of my craft not too long ago, so I just run into my little studio here and
Well, listen, man,
share with
believe
you this evening.
it. I was saying to myself, should I do a show or not? Because in honor for the queen. And I said, nah, man, the queen would want me to do a special show. So I said, let's call it a Jubilee. I hope I spell it Jubilee. Did I spell Jubilee right? Jubillee. Did I spell it right? I want to make sure that
Yeah,
I spell
yeah, yeah. I think so.
Jubilee,
I think
like Jubilee, Jubilee Hospital, Yeah, Jubilee. I just check everything.
okay.
What's up otherwise, Gary?
Yeah, everything's all right. Thank the Lord. Everything is could be better as
Yeah.
always, but things are just coasting along
Mm.
quite nicely. Just getting people ready again. As the core business of my work, as everybody would know or should know, is that I must get people's souls ready for the return of the Lord. So
Well,
you
that
know,
that's
I have to
that's a
do my
funda- that's a
best.
that's a fundamental fact that sometimes we sometimes can miss out on.
Yes.
Because even last week when we were talking about the killing of the 21 the students and the teachers in Texas, Uvalde, and mark you, there's another shooting again in a hospital or so in the UK, in the USA.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about the guns. Everybody was talking about mental health, but nobody was talking about that they're demons. You know, there's we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Wickedness in high places, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's so sad. You can't call a spade in society anymore. I will put it down at times. Yes, it's mental health. Yes, I will understand
Yeah.
that many have been touched, many not coping with life and with things in their own way. But I think many times, it's been, let me use it this way, it is being disguised as mental health or mental
Yes, yeah.
issues, you know. And I think I take my psychologists, the psychiatrists, help those who have studied many years in the psychotic drugs that has to be, um, prescribed. I will never stand up and speak against no these professionals, for they have worked long and hard and they have studied long and hard. And I congratulate all the doctors and the medical doctors that work in the field of mental health. So I have nothing against whatever you may do, but I think what we've got to understand, Sylbourne, is that um, no, is that man cannot be helped by prescribing psychotic drugs and drugs to control what, yes, very real, that people, as they would say, they hear voices, they hear that, they experience things that in reality we just don't know what they're born. We don't know. We haven't been there, not as yet anyway, and we hope not to get there. So we don't know what they're experiencing. However,
Yeah.
however, these things cannot be controlled by psychotic drugs, because psychotic drugs only lead to other things, which of course when it does get to that stage, Sylbourne, then other drugs have to be prescribed, and that doesn't help. I think what helps and what to really do, we've got to really allow, you and I think from the Christian, with a Christian background, I think we've got to really ask God to work through us in ways note. And
Yeah,
sadly,
I'm gonna stop you right there because we're gonna get into that. But I just want to welcome Miss Juliana, who said she's live from Uganda. Um, I'm great for that, and I also want to welcome Noreen Hunt. She's watching from the United States, and she said so to Gary, also to Itiwanda and Jacqueline, and those who are coming on. If you're coming on as well, let us know where you're hailing from, what country, and tell us more about you and your view of the show. Uh, Gary, we're going to touch on that, but let us deal with a little preliminary first. Of course, you wouldn't like us to consider her the preliminary. But as we know, today is the launch, the start of the big Jubilee for the platinum for Queen Elizabeth II. And there are so many different events out there today. I don't know if you have been, have you been at the mall or anything like that? Were you standing on the balcony or something?
I must sadly say that I was too busy to have received the invitation to be out there. I'm called to a higher calling here. I had to do the king's business.
So this so you're on the king blast there and stuff like that, Um,
Yes, yeah.
but I must say, oh, I was at the mall. Okay, Esther, yeah, she said she was at the mall. Also, that's
Okay.
awesome. You need to come on to the show. Then let me put the link there. Come on to the show and tell us, not on Instagram, but on YouTube. Come on to the Instagram and not Instagram. Come on to YouTube. The link I'm going to put it there and tell us how it was there. Gary, I must say though, when I was looking at it today, at some point, somebody from the States messaged me and said, "Who is that man standing next to the Queen?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" Because I was doing some gardening today, and then I realized that people were so caught up watching this from the States, and I said to myself, it was so great that people were able to be out in droves, Gary, and not social distancing. People
Yeah,
were
that
back
must
out.
have,
Yeah,
yes.
that
That
is something else. Yeah.
that must have been, just extraordinary, because
Mm.
when you when when you consider, what this country has been through over the past 2 years. I'm sure the freedom, it brings back the air of what it used to be like during the times of festivities. And we know that probably it will never go back to
Yes.
that point in time. But you know, there was an air of of excitement. And I did views on television. We're in Leeds at the moment, so I did view on the TV different aspects of what was going on there on the moor. But in addition to all of that, I'd just like to say, um, congrats to the and really for her 70th year on the throne. I'm sure that she never envisioned 1952. I believe that's when she ascended the throne, that she would still
Yeah.
be here in 2022. So I think that,
It's
you
70
know,
years old, isn't it?
70 years. So I think that God has really favored her with long life, with health, and with strength. Even lost her partner and husband, Prince Philip, not too long ago. But God has really strengthened her, and I believe that she looks well, yes, and you can
Yeah.
see that she is frail, but she looks very well. She looks
She looked,
very,
yeah,
very well.
very, very, very happy, and as I was reading something here, roaring crowds cheered the Queen as she joined other royals on the balcony of Buckingham Palace on the first of 4 days of Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And if I'm to share the screen there, it shows a lovely picture. Let me see if I can find it. There it is on BBC. You can see her there. It's one of the interesting things though is the fact that it was a scantily clad balcony. Did you realize that? Very scanty, and it's like politics is there at the same time. Um,
Well, I don't know if you felt the same way, but when they said that Andrew was missing due to COVID, I thought, well,
mm,
yeah, sure, sure,
yeah,
sure.
I said
I don't.
sure. I said sure as well. I said sure as well. I said sure. I say yeah, right. I say yeah, right. Who you gonna fool? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're all not that stupid, really. We may look as if we don't have any sense, but there's a lot of sense going on between these ears. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know,
And and then Megan and
it's
Harry.
yeah. It's just so sad about Meghan and Harry. I mean, I don't think there's any reason why Harry and his family could not be a part of what of. I just don't understand. Probably going on there, but I
Well,
just think
well,
that's a shame, really. It's a shame.
when Harry's there, there is. There's a picture that showed of Harry. They were in the background there, making their face seen slightly there, and there's also one of Megan. But like you, Gary, I was saying to myself as well. Listen, man. At the end of the day, family is family. Family is everything, as the mafias would say. Loyalty, family. Well, loyalty is another thing. Maybe they're saying there's no loyalty there, but family. If I was a queen, I would say, listen, man, bring out all of them, every
Of
son.
course,
You know,
of course. I mean,
bring, bring
allow allow the allow the grandmother to have a family around her, man. I mean, it's just sad. It's just really very sad that the government really is, and I don't know who's pulling the strings on this. Is it government? Is it the nation? What is it? That's not allowing the queen to have a family around her, because it can't be protocol. I don't think it's protocol, is it?
Well, a lot of it is. I would say a lot of it is politics. I would say it's politics, but I know the Queen is also a very strong person, and she's tend to be doing a lot of things. But Harry did say that he wanted to protect the Queen as well. That is one of the things that he said. Um, Another thing also is that, of course, there are a lot of people talking about why is black people like celebrating this, and I think on the fourth day there's going to be a lot of celebrations with steel pans and all those sort of things. Somebody said they're not going to celebrate Robin Hood, robbing the poor to give to the rich. and talk about giving back the crown jewels and reparation and repatriation. So that's something which is in the midst now about the whole aspect of reparation, and that is why I put it out there as what does it mean to you? You know, I tell you what it meant to me, Gary, and everybody can see. That's what it meant to me for today. I was able to go and do some gardening, man. Look at that. That was me, man. That was me there, you know, doing some gardening. Somebody said, "Why do you have two lawnmowers?" I said, "Because you know, multitasking and one on each hand,
One, one for each hand. Oh, one for each hand or one for each foot.
one for each foot." I said, I'm into. I said, I said, I said on my Facebook page, thank God, I'm grateful to the Queen for today. And I said, grateful. What do you mean? For the peace and just relaxing and just chilling, man. A lot of people, Uncle Joe Aldred was mentioning that he also was able to spend some time and just really do some DIY, you know.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
so so that's the thing. But on a last note on the Queen, we're not going to dwell on that because there's 4 more days of it. Um, but what's your take on the whole aspect of, is it the last of something like this? As many are saying, it will never happen again. 70 years. She came from a period during the war, translating into the present. It's like she went through generation changes, you know, and whereby now people are looking and saying, do we really need this family? Do we need this? A lot of the older folks who celebrate the Queen, the royalists, they're on their way out like her, you know?
Well, I heard something the other just today.
Yeah,
Can't remember which of the news media it was or which media, but a very the statement was this, to say that it's 70 years of stability. Now, many countries, many areas, many regions in the world today have really not had a steady hand or um, a steadiness of political stability, even though the monarchy, let us say, for us now, is not embroiled or not active in politics because of governance where that is concerned. But I think that
yeah,
if the monarchy was not as stable as it was, or it had or has been, then the United Kingdom would not be the United Kingdom we know today. And I think that because the Queen has been who she is, and I think what's so remarkable, Sylbourne, is that uh, in her communications over the years, and more so at the death of her husband, Prince Philip, she always spoke of
yeah,
the stability of her husband, who she termed as her rock. So
yeah, yeah,
Prince Philip had a lot to do with this, and I believe he was really a force to be reckoned with behind the throne.
yeah,
And I think many in their communication, those who know the family well, and even the children, his children knew him very well. So the family, the monarchy, yes. And I don't think we're going to have another queen or another monarch like the queen ever. When she goes, that is it. I think that's going to be it. Now,
yes,
if Prince takes it on, Prince Charles takes it on, he may stay in there. But I think the country is ready, is primed for William to take over. What type of king he will be, we'll never know. I don't until that happens. But yes, what you said about the stability of the monarch, now this will be it. It's going to finish.
because in a sense, we all recognize that the monarch is is a ceremonial figure. the the prime minister draft a speech for the queen, but there's one thing though which I believe that the queen plays a very serious hand in through her audience with the relevant prime ministers over the years. It is like she was able to somehow guide them, and I believe many of them came to her for guidance. At the same time, she was able to direct the ship, but not being the captain. Makes sense. She was directing the ship in the same time, but not being the captain. And I think and that's it. And she presided over the the whole changing of the guard from the whole I was gonna say the racist era, but from the colonial era to present, and therefore one is looking at to say she had a hand in it, but at the same time she's a changing face. She has a hand, but a changing face. I don't know if that makes sense in a way, but you know. But when I saw the people out there, I just say, wow, it was a beautiful day. I tend not to like these crowds too much, so I never really like venture out to these big things. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know.
Yeah, I do understand. I mean, I don't like to go into town.
Mm.
Birmingham town, Leeds city centre, London city. There was a time when we were living in London, I would drive through the city. There were times when I would, in Birmingham, we lived in Birmingham for 30 plus years. The latter part of that 30, I don't really like to go into crowded areas because there's too many bad people about the place to be. There's not one
Yeah.
really, But I do understand what you're saying. I do understand what you said, and I agree with what you said.
But Gary, there's something else though. I don't know if you saw this video which was going around, or people talking about um, Burgess Park in central London, Burgess Park in Camberwell, not so far from where I live, whereby young people are going to be encouraging each other. Well, some saying stay away, or some say we're going to have war. You know, you know, and it was very disturbing. And that there was another picture went out. The police said no young people, nobody should go there because it's closed. But it turned out that that was false. And I believe some fathers or some men, community leaders, met up at 12 to go there. I couldn't go because I have children. Actually, my wife was going somewhere. I had to do some work in the garden. Uh, but it was really concerning when you see a lot of these young people on TikTok, you know, promoting something so nature, and I wonder that's crazy, you know.
Sylbourne, that's the world in which we live. Um, that's a society we live in where young men, young girls, young boys are, they plan to fight. And okay, it used to happen in our day, but we fought with these. This is what we fought. Yeah,
Well,
that's what we fought
I'm
with.
sorry.
But
I
these
fought a
days,
different way. I fought a different way, Gary. I fought like this. We used to break dance. We used to have dance competition. So we used to do. We used to have street. We used to have street war. Street war was who can dance and who can do the spin, the back spin more. That's how I
yeah.
used to fight in a way.
Well, yes, yeah, but these days either the knife it's knives and it's guns, and it's just really very. It's not nice at all. Oh, good night, Deanne. It's good to
90.
have you back.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Yes. No, it is ridiculous. It is, and as I said, me and my mate were planning on going down there, and we really question the rationale of going there in a sense.
Michelle is here too, is she?
Yeah, Michelle is,
Hi, Mish. At least my fan club is here. Yeah, my fan club is here. So. At least my membership has turned up.
So therefore, Gary, this is your jubilee.
Yeah, this is my jubilee now, mate.
Yeah, but 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 on a serious note, though, on a serious note, I was asked this question at my breakout session when we have our workout on Tuesday night. What was your happiest moment as a child? And it was difficult for me to actually pinpoint a particular moment because most of my moments as a child was happy. I had a happy childhood, and you know the family, Gary. You know the network that we have. It was a happy growing up, happy as I say, happy brought up. See,
Yeah,
and when I think about the children of today, I worry in a way because of the atmosphere that they are being brought up in, very toxic, where the community or the village doesn't have doesn't express or doesn't have the responsibility or is responsible. And the only way that my father and the only way that people in my neighborhood of Ocherius could have a say in my brought up say, or can reprimand me on the street, or if Sister Mattis or Brother Mattis or see me on the road and can stop me and tell me off, is because they had a relationship with the parents. And if the parents of today do not have a relationship together within communities and villages, it will be difficult for them to reprimand and speak to children. And that's one of the difficulties that we have of today. And we've got to reach to a point where we can actually reach out to the children. Because when I see those videos, and I'm saying to myself, come on, those parents must see those videos. You know, fortunately, I'm on TikTok, so I was able to see. And it's a trial and
I
time.
mean, still,
Mm.
you see, again, still, it's. I don't know. I see. We've we've spoken about this not every week that we are on, but we've made mention of it over time,
Yeah.
and that is the amount of discipline starting from where it starts at the home. Discipline, respect, respectability, manners, all of these things start at the home. And if a child stands in front of Sylbourne or myself, or let us say, one and two of your listeners in their community, such as Michelle or even Deanne, if a child stands in front of any one of us as individuals, do we automatically must first see what is going on at home? What is the child seeing and hearing at home? Because the child can only replicate, or the child can only replicate what they are seeing and hearing at home. Now the school has lost control. The um, the headmistresses or the headmasters, or as they may have just as well call them, is the CEOs of these academy schools. The teachers can't exact justice. You know why? Because the government has come in and has sanctioned the actions of the child. So even if a parent today wants to discipline his or her child, they can't.
Mm.
And when the child's their misdeeds on the streets, who then do the authorities come back to? I mean, do they go to the government about the child? No, they don't. Do they go? Can they go to the teacher? The teacher can't do anything themselves. But who do they come to? They go back to the parent that they've taken the authority away from. Sylbourne, when you really think about it, can they? They can't. That is the whole point, you know. If the parent, I always said to my children, in my home, once my front door closed, they can, I said I would go to prison for my son. I would go to prison for my daughter because there is no government. There is no social worker that's gonna come to my front door and tell me what I must do in my house. None. And I made my quite I quite plain. I just spelled it out to them. And yes, they didn't like it then. But I guarantee you now, you ask any of my three daughters or my son, yes, if what are the lessons that they learned, and if they appreciate what their parents did in helping them at those ages, and I guarantee you, you will hear a testimony from each one of our children
Yeah, yeah.
or
But
our child. So really, every father and mother in our home has the authority. Don't believe. Don't think. Yes, laws can be passed. I understand what Parliament can do. I understand that. But if you, as a God-fearing father in your home, you love your child, if you believe and you know that you have the authority in your home, you have the authority in your home. Mr. Boris can't tell you that you don't, or whoever is in government cannot tell you. They
look
can't.
at this. Look at this. Yeah, look at this video here, which I'm gonna play here, and tell me if your children was on that, what would you do? I'll see if I can share it.
Story of a black man, young mother, pop school, older brother locked up. Two sisters, one about the other one, real young, me and him, all summer trying to keep from going under. My story a little different, pop's dead, mom's feeling lonely, wow, he died real fast, left me here, only month before school, shit, Chris, she was cool, years missing, he was
Sorry to fanfare to do this concord sound rubbish. What is this rubbish? Stay in your house.
So keep your youths in on the 2nd of June, yeah, at Burgess Park, Peckham, yeah. Manling's getting the heads up right now, so random sharing people that ain't got the heads up. Keep your youths away from that. Every youths are coming with home now, innit? You know, brother, what's going on? Big people even doing in a fun fair right now.
Don't write one properly there, but anyhow, that's just an idea of the sort of darkness which is being seen there. I've been checking my WhatsApp, and I don't think anything has really kicked off as maybe they expect. As a friend of mine says, that sometimes these things happen late at night because London is awash with lots of people over this weekend as well. You know, Michelle just said, from you sign that birth certificate in the hospital, your children is an award of the state. Michelle says further, like they would say here in the USA, Big Mama is missing now in the neighborhood community. Um, I, I don't know what do you say about what maybe that's in America there. She said, from you sign a birth certificate in the hospital, your child is an award of the state. What do you say about that, Gary? Is it once you sign that birth certificate here in the UK, how much has the state control your children and your life since you since and I remember when I first came to the UK. I even babysit your children at one point when you and your wife went out when I came down to Birmingham there. Tell me, Gary, honestly speaking, how much have the state really control your children's lives?
No, I mean, listen, every how can I don't know how to verbalize what's going on in my head, you know. Really, I mean, I think that yes, a country, a society needs government.
Yes.
Society needs laws. Yes, we need to be governed. That is fine. I don't agree. I don't disagree at all with any of that. But I believe believe that if we stay within the law, then we will be fine. The law, I'm sure you would agree with this because I'm sure it's a part of your learning. The law is for the lawless. The law is not for those who are law abiding citizens. Yes, the law is for the lawless. You break the law, then you're going to be governed by the law. Now, when you have a child, when you have a family within the confines of a family, then if you, as the father, and your wife, if you are lawful, if you're a law-abiding citizen, then you will govern and grow your child according to how you want them to be, because you are forming them, you are growing them, you are training them, you are mentoring them. It's not the government, because the government is not around. So I don't know if that addresses the question, but no, I society doesn't have any hope, and I think that's the problem there, right there, Sylbourne, because we're leaving our kids up to society, we're leaving our kids up to governmental rules and regulations, and what is it doing? There's a complete breakdown of family, completely.
Because in a way, as you rightly say, within a society there are rules and there are laws and there are guidances. In the UK now, one shouldn't beat their children, or to the point where they're the skin or the is broken or so. There, there are terminologies that they use in court, and it is when you break those rules that is when the state comes in. But you can grow your children, you can teach your children, you can discipline your children in many different ways, to the point of adulthood. And really and truly, the majority of children, and this is what we need to emphasize as well, the majority of children are great and fantastic children. The majority of black children are great and fantastic. And I always say this sometimes, all the while. The noise sometimes is a minority, but the noise is the loudest. But it's just like with Brexit, it was the silent majority that made the difference. It wasn't those that were making a lot of noise, Gary. It was the silent majority. And the silent majority plays a fundamental role in many things these days, as much as we can say. But I would say to parents that it is important that you groom. And let's take back that word groom, because groom sometimes has that negative connotation as if it is something bad. It's just like rainbow. I put up a rainbow the other day, two beautiful rainbows, and somebody said, "Me no know rainbow thing," and I had to show the person the scripture that says, actually, this is where the rainbow comes from, where God said this is a reminder. So I don't know what else you're talking about regarding the rainbow, but I'm taking it back to what it really means. And when you talk about grooming, you see, we get so much caught up whereby the narrative has changed, and we fall in line with the narrative instead of just taking it back to its rightful place. And if it is just one, if it is just one man can make a difference in this world, just like how Jesus did, just like how Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, Gary. It was one man, one man, one woman or man can make a difference. Rosa Parks, the other girl that went to school by herself, and the marshals were able to walk with her in America there, and they sat with her right through the time, took her home. They even said to her mother, "Don't make lunch for her." I forget the name of the girl. Remember that girl that was in America that went to school by herself, and they wanted to kill her and all those other things. So we can make sure that we make the change for our children and to give them that happy childhood. But parents, as you rightly say, Gary, parents play a fundamental role. Godparents play a fundamental role. I keep saying all the while that when I was growing up, I never heard the words mentor or coaches growing up in Jamaica. I never heard those words, but I knew that there are men that I look up to. I know that there was my father. I know that there was a particular uncle, and I know that was one of my father's friend as well. Three men, and none of them were of my age. And to this day, one of them is alive now. And to this day, Gary, I cannot say that I emulated any artist which was out there. I might like Michael Jackson, Moonwalk. I might like LL Cool J and Grandmaster Flash and those guys rapping. I might like Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick with beatbox. But I never emulated their lifestyle, Gary. I don't know what their lifestyle was, but I like their music. And that's the difference now. Society now is so caught up with role models and coaches and all those sort of things. And everybody's twisted with their mindset and messing up people. That's how I see it as.
I mean, I've never looked at it like that, and that's so true, Sylbourne. Is that I love Michael Jackson. I mean, I liked his music. I liked the players or the musicians that played on his record because I consider myself a musician still, but I was a musician. I used to play the bass guitar very well.
Yes.
And I love jazz and jazz funk and all of that. But I looked to them for music, but yet related them or any of them to live like them. We never took them on as role models.
Yeah.
It was those. I mean, as you know very well. I mean, I grew up. All I know is church. So to some extent, when in seeing like R.B. Adams, C. Smith, and S.B. Mattis, and Anderson, and all of these men who have all now gone on to reap their rewards. We looked to them, we saw them, we heard them, their lifestyle.
We saw their lifestyle. We saw their lifestyle.
So there was something. There was something that we could hold on to. It was something that we could pattern. A lot of our youngsters these days, our boys, they are, as it is said, they around for people, for men older than themselves that they can emulate. Now, or they hear about rappers and they want to be like, this rapper. They want to be like that man. They want to be like that actor, but they don't know them. They don't know these people. They don't know where they're coming from. They don't even know how they live. But yet, they want to be like them. And and like actors and so they're just a few of the many mentors and people that's out there. But it's sad. It's sad that the breakdown of community, the breakdown coming from families, fathers, mothers, and I know there's a lot of one-parent families. I have nothing against that at all. All I'm saying is that just be strong for your children. Let them know that the word N-O means N-O. Let them know that yes means yes. Let them know that wrong means wrong. Wrong does not mean right. Or wrong does not mean maybe. We've got to be strong. We have to be strong.
I was reflecting as to the men in my life. My father, the key uncle I mentioned, and the late, the other gentleman. And I remember when some holidays I'd be working with them. One in their business, one in the farm or in the business. And Gary, these men they weren't like friends at that time. They were like harsh men. They were telling you what to do, and they were like, do that, and it felt like, oh man, these are not the same nice guys. But what they were doing, Gary, they were teaching and instilling in me something else, a discipline. They were actually guiding me as a little boy. When I go to the farm, when I go to the auto parts, I'm working with them. I'm trying to say. And your father and your mother trust you trust them to take care of you because they know that they're in good hands. Their son is in good hands, and that's one of the things that we, as rightly as you said at the start, and I said we're going to come back to this, and we actually come back around to this, that we actually have that responsibility now to be the godfathers. Yeah. Um, Michelle said the whole concept has been put into our mind from childhood, the similar concept that this is what God says. Who dare says what God says? Okay, well, the beautiful thing about this show is that everybody has a view, and the view must be respected.
Well, I would like to ask Michelle just to give a bit more clarity on what she has said. I don't fully understand
Yes,
what she's written. But if you can give a bit more clarity, Mish,
yes,
then I would really appreciate that and address that. You
yes,
know,
yes,
but I really think that whatever part of society that we are from, whichever country we may be from, or be a part of, whatever part of society in the UK, the point is that the breakdown of society has started from the home. And I would want to believe that everybody that is listening to the Sylbourne City show would at least with that. I think that there has to be a starting point. It doesn't always start with the government. No, it doesn't start with who's in government or which party is in government or any of the laws that are being passed. I think it has to start right in the home, mom and dad and the one baby.
yes,
Not unless it's a twin, you have two. But I believe that the beginning of training, the beginning of discipline, the beginning of order, the beginning of everything that has to do with anything that is right at all begins in the home. And when a parent sees a son, or when a parent sees a daughter going off kilter a bit, staying at home, staying at school a little later, mixing with, let us say, a child or a friend that is not behaving right, little telltale signs, I should be able to instruct our son and our daughter to be careful. Because again, where it goes wrong is that the parent of the daughter or the son that is mindful of what's going on and her daughter or son. Sometimes, for instance, let me put it this way, um, Sylbourne, your son, you, your son may meet my son. You see my son, um, giving off look or sound. You should be able to come to me and say to me, Mr. Graham or Gary, I think your son is being influenced, or look at, he doesn't seem to be behaving. Whatever this is, anyway. You not only love your son, but you're looking out for my child.
yes, yes, yes.
Where the problem is that you are afraid to come to me, or you don't want to come to me because you don't want to get what you then say to your son or your child is, leave Graham boy alone.
Stay away from him. Stay away from
Yes,
him.
right.
It's a funny thing what you said right there. The girl, and I keep forgetting her name, the one who was pioneered, the little black girl, to go into school in America that time, and the government or the president had to actually get the marshals to protect her. She said that when she was supposed to meet up with some of the other children, one white boy said to her, "My mother said I should not play with you. My mother said I should not play with you." And she also said if her mother had said to her, "Don't play with that Asian boy, don't play with that white boy," she would also believe her mother. So in a way, she realized right there that the influence of those children were through their parents as well. That was the influential factor. And what you just said now about me saying to you, or me saying to my son, don't play with Gary's son or Gary the Graham boy, is because there's not a relationship in the community. And that's why I was saying earlier that in Otrius, at that time growing up, there's a relationship with families around there, whereby we're able to actually reprimand you. I could be walking on the road. I remember one time I was walking in Otrius, and I had my hat. I'll see if I could find a hat. My hat was turned back ways, and my father was driving past, and he had some friends or people in the bus, and he stopped the bus, and it wasn't him who said anything to me. It was the ladies saying, turn your hat around, Seymour." It wasn't him. They were the ones who actually said that. Turn your hat around, Seymour. You know, and that shows the level of what is missing, and how it can be built back is by everybody wanting to make a difference right there, and it starts exactly from the home, from the base. You know, and as you rightly said, and it doesn't make a difference whether it is a single family, a single parent family, or whatever. The single parent, it can work the same way. I know I grew up. I know single parents growing up as well.
because and you see the community, that shows how tight the community is. If, let us say, if there was a mother or a woman who has a child or two, no father around, but yet still, you know that woman, you know the mother, you know that she has a son and a daughter. How tight that community can be is, as a friend, then come in, and when you see the child going off kilter, you can step in and support the mother. Where it goes wrong is that when you come in and step in and try to at least correct and reprimand. Now, reprimand, as you said before, doesn't mean a belt and a beating and all of that. No. But you come in, you bridge that, help that mother. What some mothers then do is cuss you, telling you, don't talk to my child, don't do this, don't do that. But then, what then is planted into the mind of the child? You
That that
see?
is that is so right. That is so right, Gary. Some Noreen just told me the name of the child, Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges is the child.
Right.
I was going on a bus one day, and we wrap up. I was going on a bus one day in Peckham. Before I don't know if I was driving at that time or whatever, but I was going on a bus, and there's a lady was going on the bus, and this boy was pushing past her to get on the bus before her, and I said to him, "Young man, allow the lady to go up first." I just heard this voice behind me, "Don't talk to my son. Don't talk to my." That's another a lady behind saying that. And what I was actually teaching that young man right there, a teachable moment was allow the lady to go on the bus first. The
Right.
mother, the mother of the boy said, "Don't say nothing to my son. Don't talk to my picnic," or something like that. I just say, "Hey, let me just back off here." That was a teaching moment where the village could have operated in a way, and the
Exactly.
mother could have said, "Jermaine, if that was in German, stand back, listen to the gentleman," or something like that, giving me that authority. So you see the whole process. That's how it works, and that's where the breakdown is. Never forget that moment. Yes.
I, 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 I I mean, I don't want to go away from this too quickly, with what I asked Michelle to clarify, but it's just to help, just to support my good friend here, Sylbourne Mish, when he said in regards to the bowl. I just want to, if Sylbourne will just allow me just to read
Yes.
a verse or two on the Sylbourne City show here. But Genesis chapter 9, two verses here, verses 12 and 13. He says, "And God said, the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me, 14, and it shall come to pass that I bring a cloud, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant. Now, as we know, that was immediately after the flood, and the bow,
Yeah.
the rainbow, was set there not for man, but it is what did the scriptures say here? It says, and God will remember my covenant. So it's the covenant that God made with the earth and with man, that he would no more destroy the earth with a flood. But what has happened? Man has turned that, miscued the whole thing, turned it completely upside down for gay pride and all of that, which of course that was not at all meant at all. Hi, Mish.
How you
Yeah,
guys doing?
we're doing good, man. Good, good, good. So I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that helps. If that addresses what Sylbourne said when he said God said, and he didn't really qualify that. I was just
Well,
helping
I'm
to
sure
qualify
that
that.
Michelle is able to actually express herself clearly.
No, well, with respect, to you, Rev and Sylbourne, I have two kids. I have a 37-year-old and I have a 25-year-old.
Wow,
My
they're big men.
25-year-old little boy wasn't even christened. I'm not christened at all. So none of them grew up in church. We didn't grow up in church, but yet still, they're still productive citizens in, their community that they live in. They're
Right.
productive, you know, everything like that. So when it keep on going back to what God said, I didn't grow my kids up on what God said. I grew them up on what
Okay.
I said.
Okay.
you
But you know,
know?
Michelle, I tell you this: what God says sometimes you may not say it, but the principles are some key. What should I say? Influences are in you. You see, There's a thing they say. There's a thing they call it. Americans, they say, is good at this. Um, Seed time, harvest time. They always say Americans tip big. And when I used to be in this, I used to work in this restaurant, Pizza Express, years ago, and the waiters always like when Americans come in because Americans tip big. British always tip like the basic person. Americans tip 20% or so. And why America is such a big country in a sense like this, and they think big and they grow big and have big burgers and they're affluent, is because they have a principle of God, that positive karma, which is they sow, they give a lot, and it comes back. And that's a biblical principle. I just use that as an example there. So even though one might not say God, 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 but some key biblical principles are in people, which you grew up on that.
Yeah, well, probably I grew up on it until a certain point in my life when I, I learn and I study and I remove myself from that
Yeah.
because it wasn't, not how I see it. I just feel like it's indoctrinated in us to keep on saying what God said. God never said nothing to me yet. It's just what somebody might say God said. The way I see it. So now we're gonna go back to like the kids growing up and stuff like that. I lived in America most of my life. I came here at age 7 and I'm 57 now. So I lived here most of my life. And we used to have in your community somebody that them called Big Mama that would sit on the porch, the one that would be sitting on the porch all the time. And if you pass that house or whatever, and your pants drop down or you're doing something wrong, that Big Mama is going to see that and correct it, or either go to your parents and let them know, such and such. But it's not happening like that anymore because it's so much killing. Big Mama now sit on our porch no more. Big Mama in the house no, because it for what's going on. It's not like that anymore. The community is not like that anymore.
Yeah.
So this is why you're finding with the society that we're living in now, the generation. This is what's happening now, that you have all this killing, all this, all that. Listen, I remember when I came here, I would have, when I'm going to school, my mom was strict on, you can't eat on the road. You better not be eating on the road. I had my American friends them that it wasn't nothing for them to buy a sandwich, and while they're walking, they're eating it on the road. I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know if my mother ever said she'll drive by and see me I eat on the road, that was it for me.
You get a lick by. You get a lick by.
Yeah. That was it for me. So it's just certain tradition that you grow up in as Jamaicans, and then coming here at such a young age, I see all how Americans, their traditions are. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a different society now. I grow my kids them up in which them couldn't tell me nothing about. You have American kids that if you start beat them or something like that as parents, I'm ready to pick the phone up and call 911 and say that child abuse and all that kind of stuff. I'm not afraid to pluck up my kids them. You're outside and you do anything wrong, you get a pluck. Something, you're getting a pluck, or you're getting some little drape up or something like that. They didn't mess with me. And I was a single parent, So that's just it. I just go by what I say. I only grow and only grow my kids them, and they're productive individuals now. All of my son that has never been christened, go to church, we don't do that kind of stuff. Every parent, every one of his friends' parent love him because they have so much manners and stuff like that. So that's where I'm coming from.
Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Yes, I agree with you, and I applaud you, and I really believe discipline is discipline.
Right.
And I think, and I personally think, we're all, let me say, we're all Jamaicans, because our parentage or wherever, whether you were born in England or born in America or whatever, it doesn't. To me, they don't consider us American, English or whatever. Everybody will consider us Jamaican, but there is something in us, Miss. There is something that is a part of us. Even if we didn't go to church, sometimes people go to church and them come off worse than your kids.
Exactly.
So it's not even so much that you grew up in church or.
Gary, there's a pastor picking on his butt. There's a pastor picking on his butt.
Yeah, that's what them saying.
Not yours, not yours.
But Miss, it's the discipline. It's the discipline.
It's the discipline. And it starts from home. It starts from home.
And it's point blank.
Yeah.
Whether you go to church or not, it doesn't matter. Discipline is discipline, because what you drape up your sons for, I would probably drape up my kids for this very same thing you drape up your kids for. But that doesn't mean that's a Christian lifestyle or another lifestyle. No, discipline is discipline, and you get pulled up. I couldn't. I mean,
he said what God said. I'm like,
Okay. Okay.
It's what me said.
Because what you said also, by walking on the street and having a drink or eating patty, I couldn't do that. If I was gonna have a patty,
I couldn't do that. And my American friends thought it was like strange. Like, what do you mean by you can't eat? No, I can't. That's how my culture is. My mother grew me up that way. I don't know other, but that's how my mother grew me up. Me can't eat on the street. I walk on the street and I eat. It's a no-no.
This day I don't eat when walking and stuff like that. And
right.
When I go to events sometime when I'm doing anything, I always wait till it ends or something like that, and I go home. I don't sometimes like to even eat out sometimes. Personally,
yeah.
that's the thing. But Michelle, listen, I want to thank you for coming on and for
Yeah.
that. But
All right,
there's
bye guys. Bye,
wait, wait,
Gary.
wait, wait, wait.
I wish.
Before you go,
Uh-huh.
there's just something I wanted to pick up, guys. Um, it's a sad thing, and I don't know if you saw it, but let me see if I can find it. There's a Jamaican man. I think it's in Senton. He got killed, right, by carjackers. There he
Yep,
is.
I think I read it. Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was reading that.
The devastating thing about this, why it was so bad, was that he didn't fight for his vehicle. They came for his vehicle or whatever. He gave them the keys, Gary and Michelle. He gave them the keys, and they killed him. He gave over.
I don't.
You know, like some
Sometimes
people, you know, like some people say, "Boy, nah, you nah get my stuff in there. I have to kill me for it." He gave it over.
it's just how people are in the society now. We're just it's just wickedness. Them just wicked in them heart, and they don't care for life. There's no care for life, and that's just it. I don't know
Yeah,
what to say. Just yesterday, here in Oklahoma, I don't know if you guys seen it. It was a shooting. I guess 4 people dead.
yeah,
Yes, yes, for more.
4 people died in that shooting, and it's like, what the heck is going on? What is going on in this world, the society that we live in? There's no care for life, and that's just it. Them not care about life, and that's just it. Let me tell you something. I don't even go out I'm scared to even go out in the public now.
I'm serious. That's a very serious thing, you know.
I'm scared to go out in public now. You go out in public, you don't know what the intentions are of the people them that's around you. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like if you're going at a supermarket, even if you don't want no canned stuff, you better pick up some canned stuff just in case anything you can throw it and hit somebody in the head.
Yeah, true. True.
It is very sad. It's very sad. And once you'd say that, like in Jamaica, they say life cheap. But right now, when you see all that guy going to that school with the 21, it was just nothing. No sense li- of respect for life. Even the four
I
person.
didn't. You see, even when the incident happened in Buffalo, I didn't too much. Me love voice already, Sylbourne, I voice, and I didn't too much voice on that because I sat back and when I analyze thing, I'm gonna say to them, I analyze it that okay, 10 black folks died, and I didn't hear the push so much for banding gun and this and that until when it happened in Texas.
It's a good point.
Why wasn't that push going when the 10 black people died?
That's a very good point. It's a very
You
good point.
know, when
So
you think about it, and then sometimes, a lot of people talk about conspiracy theory all the time. But I don't know if you guys know that security guard that died, the black security guard that died.
in Buffalo,
Yes, the black security guard that died. That was that was a retired police guy. Do you guys know that he had invented a car, like not car, but like something that your car could run off of water, not the gas. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No.
Yes,
heard about someone like that, and they said they're gonna kill him.
that was a guy. That
Wow.
was a security guard.
Are you
That
serious?
yes, yeah,
I heard about it. It just
yes.
hit me now, but I heard about that guy, and I heard about what people say you need to be careful about exposing it. It is.
Exactly.
Wow.
So sometimes you guys got to think about certain things because when the government have an agenda, we just don't know about it, and it just could be it could be that all the rest that died, it was sacrifice. Them it was a to get to him, they had to play it off a way where in which people around is dying too as well. With all with what's going on with this gas and the gas price and how it's going and all that, the government couldn't let him come out there with that invention that where your car can run by water. And it's something for God people to think about. A lot of people would sit back and say, "Oh, it's conspiracy theory," but
Even Putin would have come for you.
every conspiracy is a truth to it, some truth to it.
Yes. Michelle,
And we
that's revelation. You know, it's always good to talk. That's why I always say, Gary, I have a different Michelle. Michelle's like a lion. You know, lion. You don't defend lion in there. Just let lion out.
But let me ask you, Miss, the shooter for Oklahoma, was he white or black?
I don't even know that because I didn't follow. I heard it late last night as I was going to bed. That's when I heard, that happened. But as I say, I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I haven't turned my TV on in 2.5 years.
What is the Sylbourne show, Gary?
Yeah. So I get my, information off via social media because now social media is really the news now.
That's the mainstream.
News anymore.
I keep saying to people, why we are the mainstream media.
Yes, you guys are, and that's what a lot of people. But let me tell you something. It's 2.5 years when I turn my TV on. My TV don't turn on, period. I used to be a basketball fan. I don't even know about what's going on in basketball no more. I'm talking about this Johnny Depp, the case, and I'm like, what the hell is that? What's going on?
BBC wouldn't like you here because you wouldn't want to pay key TV license, which we have to pay, right, Gary?
I don't watch TV anymore. I don't because I know the media is the most powerful entity right now. So they could make a man guilty when he's innocent and innocent when he's guilty. That's the way it is.
Based on the agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can say, the reason why I ask is because the shooter for white, he lived. And the shooter for the Oklahoma, he was shot dead. And the shooter for Boston was white.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering if the shooter for Oklahoma was black, you see. Because these white shooters...
I think they said he died too, right? They said he died?
Yes.
So, I haven't followed up on that as yet.
These white shooters either come off live and get a map,
The Oklahoma shooter was black. That's what somebody.
Oh, it was a black guy.
Well, he's dead. Okay. Yeah, so he died. So you see, there's always some that is why I asked. That is why I asked.
And then think about it too, that you had the cops out at the school. Why didn't they go in?
Yeah, that's
people have to think about things like this. Why didn't they go in? Even when the parents them that said them all go in, they told the parents them that they'll arrest them or they have to get behind the yellow line and all that kind of stuff.
They arrested the parents to the ground, isn't it? But
people got to start thinking. People is not thinking nowadays. You have to think.
The names. They were they Mexicans?
They were all, I think, Mexican, Spanish, because over there, I think that's a little Mexican town over there in Tulsa. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's not good.
Okay, guys.
Gary, say bye to Michelle.
Bye.
Take care, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Good stuff. So, Gary, listen. Well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, another night, Saturday night, Friday. I'm talking Saturday night. I'm thinking I'm a
Thursday.
But, Gary, it's very interesting what Michelle come out and say. And we've got to be very analytic and critically analyze things around us. Because, as she said, and as we all know, the media has their agenda. And it's so funny. If you watch social media now, you're hearing things that happened many years ago coming out today. You're hearing many people who have been charged and incarcerated for 20, 30 years finally getting being released. So many things are actually kept under seal until many years from now, which will come out and we'll say, wow, based on secrecy and stuff like that, Paula Fuller, thank you for joining. Good afternoon. Because you just came on the show, you'll have to sit on the naughty steps. Yeah. Gary, listen, What's the rest of your plans for the Queen Jubilee?
Well, I've told them to enjoy themselves without me for the time
So
being.
it's all the Queen to enjoy herself.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I got my part two of my DIYs tomorrow for the garden and so like that, you know. And maybe I'll get some jerk chicken. There's a jerk place close. They had a big bashment tonight. I couldn't make it, but I might have to pop down there as well, you know. So,
Okay.
all right, Gary, have a good night.
Are you
Yeah?
Are you on Saturday night?
Oh yeah, Saturday night, man. Queen bashment, talking sip, drinking with the Queen, you know. I'm gonna see if
Nice.
the Queen can join us. They say she's not well. She might not be joining a couple of things, but she's gonna try to come on to my show still.
Is Queen Vita going to be joining you, or
Well, she better come with the crown because she always drinking this thing called the crown. So she better come with the crown. The crown is the key. The crown is the key thing as well.
Oh
You know,
yes. Oh
as
yes.
much as possible. You know, and one of the things that a gentleman said always say, he said, in light of the high rate of inflation, he said, turn off unnecessary lights. You know, use natural light. So let me see if I can do that. Okay, I turn off one set of light. You know, and manage your thermostat. Just reducing by 1 degree can save you £70 a year. Run full loads washing machine. Fix that leak. Use energy saving LED lights. Look out for your neighbor. Show an act of kindness. You know. I was looking at the other day. You know what I was looking at? Remember the government gave us that 5p rebate so you can at the pump. Remember that thing there? You know that went the same day, and it's all gone away.
Yeah.
It went the same day.
It just
It,
disappeared.
it just disappeared. You know.
Because
Um,
there's a petrol station up here, still. There's a petrol station not too far from us here
yes.
that the unleaded is 185, and these one.
Wow.
Now I don't know what
Mine
unleaded petrol is in London.
around the corner there was saying 179, man. It is
For
totally
what?
ridiculous.
For leaded
For
or
petrol.
for what about diesel? What is diesel saying?
I think these all are 180 something.
Okay. Are you having to pay the ULS? The ULS?
No. Unfortunately not. Not. Fortunately not. I would say. You know. But I think Boris maybe has gotten off now, isn't it? I think Boris has gotten off now, isn't it?
Don't remind me, please.
Boris is not going anywhere, man. Boris saying, I have a response. I have a duty.
Yeah, a duty to tell lie.
You know, this is what you heard what Pretty Patel said.
No, what she saying?
Guys, stop asking for the Prime Minister to go. He's not going anywhere. Get on with the job.
She's hoping to take over. You know, I'm sure she's got an eye on that chair.
Got eye on the chair. Yeah. Pretty Patel said that. You know, guys, just get with it. Gary, listen, I'll let you go. Yeah.
All right, my friend. God bless. Thanks again for inviting us.
Oh, and what's her name said? Okay, Gwendolyn. Somebody said the Oklahoma shooter shot himself. Yeah, there he goes. That's a demon. They're all demons, man. They're all demons, man. They're all demons. They're all devils. Devils. All right, peace out. Have a good one.
Bless you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. And those on Instagram, those on Facebook, and those on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe to the Sylbourne Show. Instagram, Saturday night again, talk and sip. And we're going to have a big bashment for the Queen. Let's see who's going to come, and let's have some drink as well. David Chen, respect to you. Shanky Stewart, and those joining on Instagram. Michelle Clark for coming on, Noreen, Deanne, and everyone. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you so much for coming again. And if you can look, you see a new dynamic dimension to show. You got to scrolling across there as well. Peace out. God bless you.